The cost of building with steel and aluminum has never been higher. And to add insult to injury, just to buy the tools these days, the price seems to have come close to doubling over the last 3 or 4 years. But for those of you that want to continue to build things from scratch and you don't want to spend a ton of money just to build something simple like an airbox, I think that plastics are the perfect candidate for this kind of job. I need to build a watertight airbox for this Land Rover Discovery. I want to do it on a budget, and I want to make more videos that are relatable to those of you that don't have a shop full of metalworking tools. And I feel like plastics are such a great way to do that, especially for those of you that want to figure out budget-friendly projects that you can do yourselves. This is where it's at. So I got started on it last week, and it wasn't because I didn't want to film this entire process. It's because I wanted to be able to get a proof of concept laid in the truck. So I built a little foundation here, and I wanted to be able to order the right size air filter and really visualize how I was going to do this. So what I did was I cut these different pieces, we glued them together, and believe it or not, that is the first form of welding, and it's actual welding. So if I took super glue and I glued my 2 fingers together, that is not welding. That's just gluing the surfaces of my fingers together. With this, the ABS glue is actually biting into the parent materials, and it's making it to where it's going to turn into one big piece of plastic. So this is now no longer 4 individual pieces. This is melted together into one piece of ABS, and that is a really strong bond. The problem with doing it this way solely is that it makes for a very slow fabrication process. We're building this from scratch, and it's going to take a long time. But we can speed it up if we're not waiting for the setup time of the glue, because what I had to do is I had to put a bunch of heavy stuff around this to keep these pieces from falling over, because the setup time would be where you stick it together and then you can walk away and it stays and it cures. And the setup time on ABS glue is super slow. So what we're going to do today is we're going to do other forms of plastic welding that are going to make this stick together. It's not technically welding, but it's what everyone calls plastic welding. It even says plastic welding gun. We're going to embed hot steel into the plastic in order to get all of these pieces to stay together, and then we can use our ABS glue to coat everything. And when the ABS glue dries, it's going to turn into one big piece of ABS plastic. It's going to be super strong. We're going to embed stainless steel in the joints that we think need it to make sure that in the future, all the heating and cooling cycles and everything don't crack this. And this is going to be a long-term part that can stay with the truck. So the first thing we need to do is I want to join this ABS 90 into our plastic, and I'm going to use staples to get that done. Before we dig too far into this video, let's talk about proper PPE. The fumes from melting plastic together is terrible for you. Don't just stand over it and breathe this stuff in. Definitely get yourself some kind of a mask that can help cut down on the fumes and extend your life a little bit. Nobody wants to die gasping for air in a hospital bed. So take care of yourself, take care of your lungs, and get the proper PPE. Now that we have this 90 in a position where it can't move around on us while we try to stick the rest of this together, we're going to pull the piece out. I want to get it on the table, and we're going to use hot staples to help shore up anywhere else that we can. We want this to be as rigid as possible so it doesn't shift during the fabrication process and make it to where our end result won't fit our filter or won't shore up to our mass airflow sensor. Embedding this hot steel into our materials made this such an easy project. I cannot express how simple this is. You can cut ABS plastic with just about anything. A sawzall, a jigsaw, you could use a hobby saw. And then if you get yourself one of these $30 tools on Amazon, you're off to the races. Things are looking surprisingly sturdy considering that this is just being held together with a bunch of hot staples. Now, the section that we used, that wire mesh, man, it's you can't even spin this fitting or anything, which is exactly what we wanted to do. We wanted to be able to lock all this in super tight, so then once we're ready, we can apply a few healthy coats of ABS glue around all the seams and make sure that we can turn this into one solid mass. Things are already looking great, and we haven't even touched this with glue. So the next thing I want to do is I want to clip out, it's music. I want to clip out the backside of all these staples, and then we're going to chop up a little bit more of this wire screen because I want to shore up all these complicated angles that have multiple pieces that are stapled together. I want to shore them up as good as possible because I don't want to have to do this again in the future. If we have to, no big whoop, but if we can avoid it, I want to make this solid enough that there is no chance that with vibration and heat, we're going to start to see cracks anywhere. So we're going to go a little bit overkill with this screen. And then from there, what I'd like to do is figure out a way to give this a plexiglass lid. So when I'm on the trail and I'm on really big trips, like I was just on a 10-day trip, for instance, I want to be able to just take a peek in there, look and see what the condition of the air filter is, and if I need to blow it out, I can just see through the plexiglass and see. With the new snorkel and the special snorkel top that I put on this thing, this should stay pretty clean, but it'd be great to be able to just peek in through the plexiglass. If this needs to be blown out, I can just unbolt the plexiglass, blow it out, and then go on about my day. Check that out. It looks like an airbox. So we have some good news and some bad news. First, the good news. It's one solid piece. This thing is rigid, and the way we shored it up, I have no doubt that this is going to last. The bad news is that it takes a really long time for ABS glue to turn into plastic, and I'm like out of time. So today's the last day that I have to spend working on this, and then I got to go to Montana to see some family. So that said, the thin spots we'll be able to sand, and we can treat this just like Bondo. You can actually have a great finish off of ABS plastic if you spend the time working on it. The bad news is anywhere that we had to go real thick, if I push super hard, it feels like it might be mushy. I don't know if it's in my head, but it takes, I would say, like 2 days for this stuff to completely turn into plastic. So that's not good. Another thing that's not good is this is not ABS plastic, for sure, because the ABS glue is not sticking to it. It's coming right off. So this is probably poly. So if you have a suggestion of some sort of an epoxy that I can work in between the poly and the ABS, I would love to hear it because it's not that big of a deal. I embedded so much steel in this that it shouldn't be a problem for strength-wise. I just would like to put a bead of something that can bond to both plastics in between the two if possible. Now, the next thing that I want to do is we're going to clean this up a little bit with various sanding methods, and then we're going to figure out how to mount a plexiglass surface on the top.
In terms of finish quality, the results are completely up to you. You could do multiple coats of glue, you could sand it down multiple times, which is what I'm going to end up doing over the next couple weeks, or you could even just throw a fat coat of Bondo on this. I mean, Bondo is plastic, this is plastic. There's no doubt in my mind that it would adhere, and then you have a really nice smooth surface that you could paint depending on what the goals are for your engine bay. One of the biggest advantages of building things yourself is you can build stuff to your quality standards and to whatever dictates your time. If it's worth it to you to put a lot of time into a project like this, do it. If you just need something that you can make a fast and dirty part and you can throw it in the truck, do it. In any case, I highly encourage you to pick up the tools, pick up the materials, and start building this kind of stuff yourself.
What do you think, folks? I like it. I think it looks slick in there. It's this engine bay is looking a lot less Land Rover-y these days with all the custom aluminum bits that I've built, putting dual compressors in the front, dual batteries, and now we have a custom intake. Now, if you plan on building a custom intake, I highly recommend you making sure you use lots of like flexible pieces in between the engine and whatever it is you're building, because it's going to reduce the amount of vibration going into the hard parts and hard bits. So we've got one more coupler that I'm going to fit in here once the box is done. This is as far as we're going to get in the video as far as this box, because I want to put a heavy duty layer of glue all along the inside seams, all along the outside, let it cure while I'm in Montana, and then when I get back, I can really sand this down smooth and get things looking pretty. But I mean, the gist of it's done here. We have a way to connect our engine to our snorkel, and earlier I think I might have mentioned this, but this is a pre-filter essentially. So the way this works, it's pretty slick. You can look them up online. It sucks air up into here, and because it spins it, it makes it to where it ejects debris out of this little relief right here. So I've seen a bunch of videos online of it in action, and it actually works pretty damn good. So the hope is that will help keep moisture and water and stuff out. Like if it's raining really hard and I'm driving, it should eject most of the water out of the back, keeping this pretty dry. And then even dust, it should be able to eject a lot of the dust, keeping this cleaner. So we'll see. Everything's a version 1.0 in my book. So in the future, this might get a pre-filter. I might change the filter out altogether and get a custom panel filter made for this. I don't know, but at least we are definitely headed in the right direction. This summer is going to be giant for us. I have so many big travel plans. We're gonna go to other countries. We're gonna do a manual swap in this Land Rover Discovery. We're gonna finish our trailer finally. I'm balancing these big projects with these big travel plans and trying to be a dad to the kiddos and enjoy some time with them as well. So bear with me. We've got a ton of rad content coming on the channel, and I just want to say thank you for all the support you guys give us. It means the world. We'll see you on the next one.